We all have that one friend who's always there for us until they need something in return, and somehow we seem to always find ourselves stepping over each other to accommodate them. Behind this behavior lies a manipulative dynamic known as toxic supply, where individuals tap into our deep-seated insecurities to feed their own sense of importance and control. You know that cousin of yours who always seems to be in crisis, and no matter how many times you help them, they just seem to spiral back to square one, drawing you in with each new drama-filled tale of woe. Today, we'll delve into the darker side of human relationships and explore the hidden patterns that govern our most intimate connections, where even the people we love and trust the most may be quietly manipulating us to maintain a precarious balance of power. In many cases, we're more drawn to individuals who can momentarily alleviate our insecurities rather than those who genuinely accept and love us for who we are. Our fear of being rejected or abandoned often leads us to people who validate our negative self-perceptions, creating a toxic cycle of self-doubt and low self-worth. What we commonly misinterpret as love or attraction is often an attempt to fill the void left by unmet childhood needs or unresolved childhood traumas. The need for validation can be an insidious form of emotional manipulation, where we subtly condition ourselves to crave acceptance from others rather than cultivating self-love and self-worth. Unconscious fears of abandonment often masquerade as concerns about whether someone truly cares for us, while in reality, our own sense of self-worth is the primary object of our anxiety. When our insecurities are cleverly exploited by those who seek power and control over us, we find ourselves unconsciously surrendering to their demands, even when our intuition screams that something is amiss. When we're stuck in a cycle of toxic relationships, we often blame our partner for being manipulative or controlling, but in reality, it's our own insecurities that create an aura of vulnerability, making us an easy target. The moment we crave validation from someone who's emotionally unavailable or unstable, we essentially invite ourselves into a never-ending struggle for recognition and acceptance. Manipulation thrives in environments where power dynamics are uneven. It's the subtle, yet insidious way individuals use their vulnerabilities as leverage to control those around them. The irony of toxic relationships lies in the way we often find ourselves attracted to people who reflect our deepest insecurities. Like moth drawn to a flame, we're helpless to resist the destructive allure of our own emotional demons. What we mistakenly label as love or chemistry is frequently a desperate bid for self-validation, a cry for connection that's been stifled by our own fears and self-doubt. In the shadows of our own egos, it's easy to deceive ourselves into believing we're the real victim, when in truth, we've willingly surrendered our power to a toxic dynamic that feeds our insecurities and reinforces our deepest fears. Here are 6 insightful spoken sentences for the section Games of Control, unmasking the hidden manipulations that steer our relationships in the long-form video. We often think that our relationships are built on mutual respect and trust, but beneath the surface lies a delicate dance of insecurity, manipulation, and control driven by the desperate need for validation and the fear of rejection that fuels our every move. When we're deeply attracted to someone, it's not just their charm or charisma that draws us in, it's also the control they give us, a sense of power that we mistakenly believe will alleviate our own feelings of inadequacy. In most cases, the person who's manipulating us isn't even aware that they're doing it. They're simply replaying their own insecurities, using us as a means to an end in a desperate bid for self-validation and ego gratification. But there's a subtle difference between needing validation and craving attention. One is a cry for help, and the other is a cry for control, and it's this difference that often blinds us to the toxic nature of the relationships we find ourselves in. We self-deceive ourselves into believing that our partner wants us because they need us, when in truth they are often seeking to feed their own insecurities, to fill a void within themselves that we can never truly fill. By recognizing these hidden patterns, we can begin to unmask the manipulations and control that sabotage our relationships, and instead, forge connections based on mutual respect, trust, and genuine emotional intelligence. When we enter a relationship, it's rarely about true connection and mutual respect, but rather a subconscious hunt for validation and acceptance. These insecurities we try to hide, often fueled by our own ego and self-doubt, can be exploited by others, manipulating us into a toxic dance that leaves us vulnerable and trapped. Manipulation isn't always about outright coercion but can also be a subtle, insidious whisper into our ears, echoing the insecurities we're desperate to keep hidden. We're drawn to people who reflect our own fears and insecurities, a twisted form of mirroring that creates a toxic feedback loop of self-doubt and anxiety. As we surrender to these dynamics, we sacrifice our autonomy, becoming trapped in a world where we desperately seek external validation to feel whole and worthy. The puppet masters among us often hide behind a mask of charm and empathy, but their true motives are rooted in their own fears and insecurities, making it nearly impossible for us to distinguish their genuine emotions from manipulation. As we grapple with the complexities of our relationships, it's crucial to acknowledge that our insecurities often masquerade as love, causing us to surrender our emotional autonomy to those who manipulate our deepest fears. The need for validation in ourselves is a powerful draw that can lead us down a treacherous path, where we sacrifice our dignity for fleeting validation, only to find ourselves perpetually chasing the high of someone else's approval. We're constantly drawn to people who trigger a mix of fear and attraction within us, because it's in that blurred line between the two that we feel most alive, no matter how destructive the dynamics may be. When we're trapped in a cycle of self-deception, we convince ourselves that the relationship is healthy, that we're the ones who are strong and in control, when in reality, we're desperately clinging to a fragile sense of security, one that's perpetually threatened by our partner's actions. Ego, that most insidious of demons, often masquerades as a desire for intimacy, when in fact what we're really craving is someone to confirm our sense of self-worth, to validate our very existence, and to keep the fragile illusion of a healthy partnership intact. By confronting the dark truths that keep us trapped in patterns of self-deception, we open ourselves up to a profound possibility: we can choose to shatter these illusions, to release ourselves from the suffocating grasp of someone else's toxic control, and to create a new reality, one built on the foundation of our own self-awareness and emotional resilience. In today's video, we've delved into the hidden patterns behind toxic relationships, revealing how insecurities, manipulation, and power dynamics can secretly control our most important connections. I want to thank each of you for watching and engaging in this critical conversation. Your observations and insights are invaluable to me. If you haven't already, be sure to like, comment with your thoughts, and subscribe for more in-depth explorations of human psychology and the complexities of the human experience.